Welcome to the audiobook, The Essence of Wisdom. Chapter 1, The Arrow That Forged an Empire, Duke Huan, Guan Zhong, and the Art of Forgiveness. In the annals of ancient China, a period known as the Spring and Autumn Era, roughly from the 8th to the 5th century before Christ, unfolded a tapestry of shifting allegiances, grand ambitions, and profound intellectual ferment. The Zhou Dynasty, once the undisputed celestial authority, had waned, its power fractured into a mosaic of feuding states, each vying for supremacy, wealth, and influence. It was a time when the very fabric of governance was tested, when philosophies emerged to guide or justify conquest, and when the fate of millions hinged on the wisdom or folly of a handful of powerful figures. Within this volatile landscape, the story of the state of Qi stands as a luminous example of how foresight, pragmatism, and the extraordinary capacity for forgiveness could elevate a kingdom from nascent instability to unparalleled hegemony. Our tale begins in the state of Qi, a fertile and prosperous land nestled along the eastern coast, bordered by the vast expanse of the Bohai Sea. In the early 7th century before Christ, Qi was gripped by turmoil. Its ruler, Duke Zhong of Qi, was a man infamous for his capricious nature, his debauchery, and his utter disregard for the traditional rights and virtues that were the bedrock of Zhou society. His reign was a chaotic whirlwind of scandal and cruelty, culminating in the heinous murder of his brother-in-law, Prince Liu, and a descent into madness that alienated his own court and threatened to unravel the very foundations of the state. It was a climate ripe for rebellion, and indeed, two of Qi's most powerful noblemen, Gongsun Wuji and Lian Cheng, seized the moment, orchestrating the assassination of Duke Zhong. The sudden vacuum of power plunged Qi into an even deeper crisis. Who would ascend the ducal throne? Duke Zhong had left behind several sons, but two in particular held the strongest claims and possessed the ambition to seize the mantle of leadership: Prince Zhou and Prince Xiaobai. Both had wisely, or perhaps providentially, sought refuge in neighboring states to escape the erratic tyranny of their father. Prince Zhou, the elder, had fled to the state of Lu, accompanied by his esteemed tutor, Xiao Hu, and his brilliant strategist, a man named Guan Zhong. Prince Xiaobai, the younger, had found sanctuary in the lesser state of Zhu, attended by his devoted friend and loyal retainer, Bao Shuya. These two princely factions now stood poised, ready to race back to Qi, their every movement a strategic maneuver in a deadly game of succession. News of Duke Zhong's assassination reached both princes almost simultaneously. A frantic rush ensued. The journey back to Qi was not merely a physical trek, it was a race against time, a test of cunning, and a gamble on destiny. Whoever arrived first and secured the capital would likely claim the throne. Prince Zhou, confident in his seniority and perhaps slightly less wary of the perils, began his return journey, relying heavily on Guan Zhong's strategic acumen. Guan Zhong, ever the pragmatist and deeply loyal to his charge, understood the critical importance of delaying Prince Xiaobai. He devised a daring plan. Knowing Prince Xiaobai's route, Guan Zhong positioned himself at a narrow pass along the road, his bow drawn, an arrow notched, ready to intercept his rival. When Prince Xiaobai's carriage thundered into view, Guan Zhong released his arrow. It flew with deadly precision, striking Prince Xiaobai directly in the sash. The prince cried out, staggered, and collapsed within his carriage, seemingly dead. His attendants, in a panic, believed their lord slain. They hastily reversed course, abandoning the race, and retreated to Zhu to mourn and regroup. Satisfied that his rival was neutralized, Guan Zhong allowed Prince Zhou to proceed, believing the path to the Qi throne was now clear. But the world, as it often does, held a twist. Prince Xiaobai was not dead. The arrow had indeed struck him, but had merely lodged in his sash, inflicting no fatal wound. He had feigned death, an act of calculated deception, understanding that a momentary retreat could secure a future victory. As soon as Guan Zhong and Prince Zhou's party had moved on, Prince Xiaobai, guided by Bao Shuya's astute advice, resumed his journey with renewed urgency. He arrived in Qi's capital, Linzi, first. With the support of the capital's nobility, he quickly secured his position and ascended the ducal throne, becoming Duke Huan of Qi. Upon hearing of Duke Huan's ascent, Prince Zhou, who had by then reached the border, realized his fatal error. He was trapped. The state of Lu, having harbored Prince Zhou and his advisors, now faced a difficult dilemma. Duke Huan, consolidating his power, sent a stern ultimatum to Lu: surrender Prince Zhou and Guan Zhong or face the full might of Qi's military. The stakes were impossibly high. Xiao Huan, Prince Zhu's loyal tutor, chose to commit suicide rather than betray his lord. Prince Zhu, knowing his cause was lost, was executed by Lu, who sought to appease the new Duke of Qi. Now came the most precarious moment for Guan Zhong. Duke Huan's personal feelings towards him were undoubtedly those of bitter resentment. This was the man who had actively sought his death, who had served his rival, and who, by all accounts, was an enemy of the ducal house. The prevailing sentiment in Qi's court was that Guan Zhong should be put to death, a just retribution for his treacherous act. However, Bao Shuya, the steadfast friend of Guan Zhong and the loyal companion of Duke Huan, stepped forward. Bao Shuya knew Guan Zhong's unparalleled talent. He had seen his friend's strategic mind at work, his deep understanding of economics, statecraft, and human nature. He knew that Guan Zhong's loyalty, though once directed at Prince Zhu, was a quality that, if harnessed, could serve Qi with extraordinary effect. With courage and conviction, Bao Shuya addressed Duke Huan. "My lord," he began, his voice steady, "while Prince Zhu indeed perished, you are now the ruler of Qi. If you intend to rule only Qi, then your present retainers are sufficient. But if you aspire to bring order to all under heaven and become the hegemon of the states, then you must employ Guan Zhong. His abilities in governance, in organizing the military, and in strengthening the state are far beyond mine or any other man's. He attempted to kill you, yes, but that was out of loyalty to his former master. Had he served you, he would have done the same for you." The words hung in the air, a daring challenge to Duke Huan's deeply ingrained sense of personal injury. To forgive an attempted assassin? To elevate him to the highest office? It was an idea almost unthinkable, a profound departure from the customary demands of vengeance. Duke Huan, despite his lingering anger, possessed a rare quality: a willingness to listen, to consider counsel, and to prioritize the long-term prosperity of his state above personal grievance. He wrestled with his emotions, weighed the arguments, and, in a decision that would forever alter the course of Qi's history, he chose wisdom over wrath. He pardoned Guan Zhong, brought him back from Lu, and, after a series of lengthy conversations and a deep assessment of the man's character and capabilities, appointed him his prime minister. Guan Zhong, once an attempted assassin, now served Duke Huan with absolute dedication. He initiated a series of sweeping reforms that revitalized Qi. He reorganized the administrative structure, implemented a merit-based system for official appointments, and abolished hereditary privileges that had stifled talent. Economically, he focused on harnessing Qi's natural resources, particularly its salt and iron industries, establishing state monopolies that generated immense wealth. He standardized weights and measures, encouraged trade, and fostered agricultural productivity. Militarily, he reformed the army, making it more efficient and disciplined. Diplomatically, he shifted Qi's foreign policy from one of isolation to active engagement, forging alliances and intervening to protect smaller states, thereby establishing Qi as the leading power among the feudal lords. Under Guan Zhong's guidance, Duke Huan of Qi became the first of the 5 hegemons of the spring and autumn period, bringing a semblance of order and stability to a turbulent era. Commentary. The story of Duke Huan of Qi and Guan Zhong is more than a mere historical anecdote. It is a profound lesson in the art of conduct, a masterclass in strategic foresight, and a testament to the transformative power of wisdom over emotion. Every character, every action, and every decision in this narrative is imbued with layers of meaning. illuminating the complexities of human nature, the subtle interplay of morality and pragmatism, and the enduring impact of choices made under duress. Let us begin with Duke Huan of Qi, formerly Prince Xiaobai. His initial act of feigning death was an immediate display of his sharp intellect and a nascent understanding of tactical deception. It saved his life and gave him the critical advantage in the race to the throne. This reveals a pragmatic mind, capable of quick thinking and decisive action even in dire circumstances. However, his true wisdom, the conduct that solidified his place in history, lay in his response to Guan Zhong. The raw, understandable impulse would have been to exact vengeance, to repay the attempted assassination with a swift execution. Indeed, such an act would have been lauded by many in his court as a rightful display of ducal authority and a lesson to all who might dare to challenge him. But Duke Huan transcended this immediate emotional gratification. His willingness to not only forgive, but to actively employ his former enemy reveals a profound maturity and an extraordinary capacity for self-control. He understood that the collective good of the state outweighed his personal animosity. This decision was not merely an act of magnanimity, it was a highly strategic move. He recognized that true strength lay not in eliminating foes, but in converting them into invaluable assets. This foresight, this ability to see beyond the veil of personal offense to the unparalleled value of a man's talent, is the essence of true leadership. Had Duke Huan succumbed to vengeance, Qi might have remained just another minor state, its potential unrealized, forever embroiled in regional squabbles. His choice elevated Qi, and in turn, elevated himself to the status of a revered hegemon, remembered not just for his power, but for his sagacity. Then there is Guan Zhong, the brilliant strategist whose arrow narrowly missed changing history. His initial loyalty to Prince Zhu was unwavering. His attempts to assassinate Prince Xiaobai was not an act of personal malice, but a cold, calculated strategic move to secure his master's ascension. This speaks volumes about his character, fiercely loyal to his chosen lord, utterly pragmatist, and willing to take extreme measures for what he believed was the right cause. When he was brought before Duke Huan, his life hanging by a thread, his calm demeanor, and perhaps subtle articulation of his past loyalty to Prince Zhu would have implicitly conveyed that same dedication could be redirected. Once appointed prime minister, Guan Zhong did not betray the trust placed in him, nor did he nurse resentment. Instead, he channeled his formidable intellect and boundless energy into the service of Qi. His reforms, economic, military, and administrative, were groundbreaking for their time. He understood that a strong state was built not on military might alone, but on a robust economy, an efficient bureaucracy, and a clear vision. Guan Zhong's story teaches us that true brilliance is often detached from personal sentiment, driven instead by a deeper understanding of principles and systems. His conduct exemplifies the idea that talent, when recognized and properly applied, can achieve wonders, regardless of its past allegiances. Perhaps the most understated yet profoundly significant character in this narrative is Bao Shuya. He was not a general nor a prime minister, but a loyal friend and a man of impeccable judgment. His friendship with Guan Zhong transcended political divides and personal risk. While Guan Zhong served Prince Zhu, Bao Shuya served Prince Xiaobai. Yet, when the opportunity arose, Bao Shuya did not hesitate to advocate for his friend, even knowing that Guan Zhong had tried to kill his own lord. His powerful plea to Duke Huan was an act of extraordinary courage and wisdom. He did not appeal to emotion, but to reason, to the ultimate benefit of the state. Bao Shuya saw beyond the immediate act of attempted assassination to the inherent greatness of Guan Zhong's mind. He knew that Qi's future depended on the recruitment of the best minds, not on the purging of past enemies. His conduct embodies the virtues of true discernment, unwavering loyalty to talent, and the courage to speak uncomfortable truths to power. Without Bao Shuya's intervention, it is highly probable that Guan Zhong would have been executed, and Qi would have been deprived of the genius that ushered in its golden age. Bao Shuya's role reminds us that the quiet advocates, those who recognize and champion excellence in others, are often the unsung heroes of history, shaping outcomes with their integrity and insight. His actions echo the sentiment of the ancient Chinese proverb, "A true friend is one who overlooks your failures and tolerates your success." Prince Zhu and Xiao Hu also play critical, albeit tragic roles. Prince Zhu represents the pitfalls of a reactive approach to succession. His reliance on Guan Zhong was wise, but his failure to outmaneuver Prince Xiaobai, and ultimately his execution, highlight the ruthless nature of power struggles in that era. Xiao Hu's choice to commit suicide rather than surrender or betray his prince exemplifies an extreme form of loyalty and an adherence to an honorable code even in defeat. His tragic end serves as a stark contrast to Guan Zhong's pragmatism, showing different responses to the same ultimate fate. Putting myself in the shoes of Du Quan, the decision to forgive Guan Zhong would be agonizing. The raw human emotion of betrayal and the desire for retribution would be immense. The pressure from the court and public opinion to execute the would-be assassin would be overwhelming.
However, if I were Du Quan, I would strive to emulate his foresight. I would consider the long-term prosperity of my state. My primary duty as a ruler is to ensure the welfare and strength of Qi. If Guan Zhong truly possesses unparalleled talent, as Bao Shuya attests, then sacrificing personal vengeance for the sake of the state becomes not just an act of magnanimity, but a strategic imperative. I would engage Guan Zhong in deep conversation, not just to assess his abilities, but to gauge his sincerity and his willingness to serve Qi wholeheartedly. If his answers demonstrated true understanding of statecraft and a pragmatic, loyal approach, then the decision, while difficult, would be clear. If I were Bao Shuya, I would act precisely as he did. My loyalty to my friend would be strong, but my greater loyalty would be to the potential of my state. To see such immense talent wasted for a personal grievance would be a disservice to Qi. My responsibility would be to present the unvarnished truth to my lord, advocating not out of sentimentality, but out of conviction that Guan Zhong's genius was indispensable. My reasoning would be based on the principle that the welfare of the many outweighs the feelings of one, even if that one is the ruler. The act itself would require immense courage, as it could easily be misconstrued as disloyalty or an attempt to protect an enemy. The consequences of Du Quan's decision were monumental. Had he not forgiven Guan Zhong, Qi would likely have stagnated. Its potential, derived from its rich resources and strategic location, would have remained largely untapped. Another state, perhaps Jin or Chu, might have risen to prominence earlier, altering the balance of power in the spring and autumn period dramatically. The period of relative peace and stability that Du Quan's hegemony brought would have been lost, leading to more prolonged and destructive warfare. The intellectual and social reforms Guan Zhong initiated would never have materialized in Qi, setting back its development significantly. A more correct and flexible way of dealing with such a situation, as exemplified by Du Quan, is to always prioritize the greater good and long-term vision over immediate emotional satisfaction. This requires intellectual courage, the courage to challenge one's own preconceived notions and prejudices. It demands strategic thinking, looking beyond the individual to the system, beyond the present to the future. It calls for emotional intelligence, the ability to manage one's own feelings and to understand the motivations of others. This principle finds resonance across history. Think of Abraham Lincoln's decision to bring his former political rivals, like William Seward and Salmon P. Chase, into his cabinet during the American Civil War. These men had openly opposed him, yet Lincoln recognized their abilities and the necessity of unity and diverse perspectives to save the Union. Like Du Quan, Lincoln transcended personal grievance for the ultimate good of the nation. Or consider Nelson Mandela, who, after decades of imprisonment, chose reconciliation over retribution, embodying a profound forgiveness that allowed South Africa to transition peacefully from apartheid. These leaders understood that true power lies not in asserting dominance through force or vengeance, but in the ability to unite, to inspire, and to harness the best of humanity, even from the most unexpected sources. The narrative also subtly reveals the cunning side of human nature. Guan Zhong's feigned assassination attempt, though ethical by the standards of his time, loyalty to one's master, was a deliberate trick. Prince Xiaobai's feigned death was an equally cunning counter-trick. This reminds us that the art of conduct is not solely about rigid moral codes, but also about the flexible and often shrewd application of intellect in complex situations. It is a world where cunning can be a tool, not always for ill, but sometimes for self-preservation and ultimately for the greater good, depending on the context and the intentions. The story, therefore, does not simplify life into clear-cut saints and villains, but presents a nuanced reality where pragmatic choices, even those involving deception, can lead to positive outcomes when tempered by wisdom and ultimately directed towards constructive ends. The enduring lesson is that true wisdom lies in discerning the highest value in every situation, even when it demands transcending personal hurts or societal norms.